When his mom, Rita, said goodnight and headed to her bedroom, 14-year-old Michael Pitt couldn't have known it was the last time he would see her alive. What could a teenager, still a minor, possibly be capable of when it seems like the entire world is against him? In today's story, we delve into the life of Michael Pitt, examining whether he was an innocent victim of circumstances or a calculating criminal who outwitted Missouri's justice system. Michael Bernard Pitt, born on November 3, 1984, was known to everyone as Bernie, a nod to his middle name. The youngest of Rita and Edward Pitt's three children, Bernie grew up with two older sisters, Crystal and Melanie, in the quiet rural town of Hopewell, Missouri. Located about 70 miles southwest of St. Louis, Hopewell was the kind of place where doors remained unlocked. Kids rode their bikes freely, and the community lived a slow, peaceful life. Rita and Edward married young, still practically teenagers themselves, and their lack of preparation for the challenges of married life soon became evident. What began as youthful disagreements escalated over time into heated arguments and mutual domestic violence. Their children often bore witness to these confrontations. For Michael, the only son, this environment was particularly unsettling. Deeply attached to his mom, he found it especially painful to watch her endure such strife, even as she continued to forgive Edward time and time again. Despite the turmoil at home, young Michael found joy in moments with his mom. Rita attended all his baseball games and football matches, proudly recording his achievements on her video camera. In those moments, he seemed happy in his own way. But as Michael grew older, the constant fighting at home took its toll. The once joyful boy became withdrawn, angry, and difficult to manage. He often skipped school, and his temper caused him to argue frequently, particularly with his father, whom he blamed for much of the family's suffering. By the time he reached adolescence, Michael had failed seventh grade 3 times. In 1997, the situation at home reached a boiling point. Police were called after Edward knocked Rita to the ground and began choking her during a late-night fight. Michael witnessed the entire incident. Early in 1998, during a heated argument with his mom, Michael swore he would send her to the afterlife before taking his own life. A chilling statement from a troubled teen who had grown up surrounded by violence and threats. That argument ended with Michael being hospitalized, a turning point for Rita. After his release, mother and son grew closer. Their bond strengthened, and it was partly because of this that Rita finally decided to leave Edward. In the summer of 1998, after over 20 years of marriage, Rita filed for divorce, citing infidelity. She had come to realize that the constant fighting was not only harming her, but also damaging her children. The divorce was contentious, but Rita secured the family trailer and half of Edward's pension for child support. By December 4, 1998, the divorce had been finalized just 4 days earlier. Rita worked her shift at a local bar that evening and later celebrated with friends. Meanwhile, Michael, now 14, stayed home. Feeling bored, he decided to bike to the general store, where he met his friend, 15-year-old Josh Sansui. Michael invited Josh for a sleepover, a common practice among local teens. At the trailer, the boys played video games and chess. Later, they wandered to the railroad tracks near Michael's home and lit a bonfire, a typical rural pastime. Rita returned home around 11 p.m., bringing sandwiches for the boys before heading to bed. She wished her son good night and asked him not to stay up too late. The boys continued their fun, listening to music and smoking weed, before eventually going to bed, Michael on his bed and Josh on the floor. They stayed up late, laughing and reminiscing until they finally drifted off to sleep. But the next morning around 6:30 a.m., they woke to the smell of smoke. A thick haze filled Michael's room. When he opened the bedroom door, he was hit with a wall of white smoke. He called out for his mom, but there was no response. Running outside, he grabbed the garden hose and rushed back into the house. Seeing his mother's car in the driveway confirmed that she was home. Michael dashed to Rita's bedroom, where he made a horrifying discovery. His mother's lifeless body lay on the floor, her legs covered in blood and her upper body consumed by flames. Shocked and terrified, Michael tried to extinguish the fire, but the garden hose wouldn't reach the room. The crackling of the flames and the smell of burning flesh left a mark on him that would haunt him for years. Josh ran to the neighbors for help, and someone called the police. By the time officers arrived, the fire was extinguished, revealing a grisly crime scene. Rita had suffered severe blunt force injuries, particularly to her head and upper body, and her body had been set on fire with the help of an accelerant. Blood covered the walls, furniture, and floor, indicating a violent struggle. Despite a thorough search, investigators found no murder weapon or signs of forced entry. Suspicion quickly fell on Michael. Suspicion quickly fell on Michael. His calm demeanor and a seemingly out-of-place comment about his mom's car raised eyebrows among officers. He was interrogated for hours, during which a voice stress test suggested he was lying, a controversial method often deemed unreliable in court. Michael and Josh were questioned separately. Although Michael consistently maintained his innocence, Josh eventually changed his story under pressure. He claimed that he woke up during the night to noise and saw that Michael wasn't in the room. This statement destroyed Michael's alibi. Detectives suspected Michael due to his calm demeanor after his mother's murder and Josh's changing testimony. Under intense interrogation, Michael, a scared and exhausted 14-year-old, made a vague confession, leading to his arrest. In 1999, Michael's trial drew massive attention. The prosecution painted him as a troubled teenager, highlighting his coerced confession and Josh's pressured statements, despite no physical evidence linking him to the crime. The jury found him guilty, sentencing him to 40 years in prison. For years, Michael maintained his innocence, appealing his case multiple times. In 2008, a cold case investigator re-examined the evidence using updated forensic technology. The DNA at the crime scene, never tested before, revealed the real murderer. Raymond Carter, a convicted serial offender. Carter admitted to the crime when confronted with the undeniable DNA evidence. Michael was exonerated and released in 2009 after spending 10 years in prison for a crime he didn't commit. His case highlighted significant flaws in the justice system, particularly the dangers of coercing confessions from minors. Michael sued the state for wrongful imprisonment and was awarded $3.5 million. Despite the settlement, he struggled to adjust to life after prison, having lost crucial years of his youth. Raymond Carter received a life sentence for multiple crimes, including Rita Pitt's murder. Michael's story remains one of the most heartbreaking cases of wrongful conviction, emphasizing the need for justice system reforms to prevent such tragic mistakes. His ordeal serves as a powerful reminder of the potential for wrongful convictions and the importance of protecting the rights of the innocent, especially vulnerable children.